Welcome to Rolling Start. We're so excited to talk all things about the Austrian Grand Prix. Throw another shrimp on the barbie.
Before we started recording, I was like, wait, what? I totally missed the reference.
It's Dumb and Dumber, dude.
Totally
like
missed
greatest
the
movie
reference.
ever.
It's a great movie. And it was a good race.
It was a great race, in my opinion.
It was a great race. I'm just gonna get into it. I wanted to see Max fight his way through with a car that doesn't deserve it.
Kimmy had other plans, buddy.
And give his fans a phenomenal time. And that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Because the rookie just jacked it up.
100%.
But
it was an interesting finish to the weekend, because it was almost like a tale of two sides of the coin. You had McLaren and Red Bull. You had a team with two number one drivers and a team with one number one driver. And you really saw what happens when a team with only one good driver gets the good driver taken out.
Oh, dude.
Red Bull was not even a mid-pack. They were a backpack team. They were backpacking in the hills of Austria. That's what they were doing. McLaren dominated. McLaren were racing each other this week, and they showed more of that car's potential and just straight dominance than they probably want to. They showed more of their hand than they wanted to.
Yeah.
I sent you a quote. I'm going to pull it up. I sent you a quote on
Horner.
What Christian Horner says. Why don't you read that?
Yeah, I'll read it.
With expletives taken out.
I will. This is a direct quote.
A direct quote.
I had to double take when you first sent it to me. I thought it was like, quote from Christian Horner, affectionately called the Horn Dog. Quote, he's basically making love to his effing exhaust pipe lap after lap after lap, and the tires are not dying. That's their advantage. End quote. I'm assuming he's talking about McLaren.
He's talking about McLaren. He's talking about how Oscar was putting the friggin' heat on Lando lap after lap in dirty air. Both him and Lando are sliding all over the place, and they're still 5.5 seconds ahead of the whole field. And anyone else that's tried to follow close to anybody else this season has just had the tires completely shredded to pieces.
Yeah.
All pace has been lost after 1 or 2 laps. And Oscar was just in it. He was stuck to the back of Lando. It was great racing for the first 20-something laps.
No, dude, I mean, it was great racing between McLaren. And to your point, they showed more of their hand than I think any team would want to. Because they have 2 number one drivers. They do. And those guys were allowed to race.
Yep.
And you saw how incredible that car is. I mean, at the end of the race, Chuck, who finished on the podium in third, was 19.8 seconds
100%
off of Oscar, who finished in second. Lewis was 29 seconds off.
Yeah.
And this is Ferrari.
Yes.
McLaren was absolutely dominant. So, like, on the one hand, you've got McLaren, 2 drivers. They race hard. There was a moment it got a little dicey when Oscar, his brakes locked and he gets too close. And the team's like, that's far enough.
Chill.
That's far enough.
Yeah. And he came on the radio later and apologized, insinuating that he kind of knew that he crossed the line of their rules of engagement. He got a little too feisty on it.
Yeah.
Which I actually didn't love the fact that they came on the radio and said,
I was going to ask you about that.
Down.
What did you think about that?
I'm like, let them race. I was super thankful that they let them race in the first place. Because that's not something that we've seen traditionally, especially in recent years. And they were going at it.
Oh, they were.
And they left each other a lot of room. And even in that moment, Oscar didn't hit him. And so I think they could have just let it go. And if anything, maybe addressed it after the race. I think for me, when it comes to McLaren, like, has Piastri officially ended the Mr. Nice Guy Norris era?
Well, if he would have won today, then a lot of the commentators would say yes. But he didn't. Lando won.
Yes.
And Lando had to win. And we keep saying that, but he actually did. Like, he legitimately 100%. Had to. And you think about Canada.
He had to fight for it.
He was fighting with Oscar. It was a bad starting position for him anyway. He was having to drive angry, and that's not Lando's way. And so he had an abysmal Canadian Grand Prix, put him even further back. He had to come back and win, and he did. And so
they're 15 points apart now.
So yeah, I mean, it's still such a close competition, and I don't think Oscar has ended the Lando nice guy era because Lando won and Lando put it on pole. And
I meant more of the fact that Lando is the nice guy.
Oh.
Like he's the kind of guy that is.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like he's the smiley. Are we seeing the dog come out of Lando? I'm looking for the dog, dude.
Dude, I am too. If he wants to win,
Where's the
then
fight?
Yes. If he wants to win, then yes. And I think you saw him defending, you saw him leading, you saw him being really strategic with where he's placing his car as Oscar's coming behind him. Like, yeah, I think Lando knows he can win this world championship, and he's been in this longer than Oscar has.
Yes.
And so if there's a McLaren driver who needs to be the first one across the world championship line, in his mind, it's him because he can do it. So yeah, to your point, I think we are seeing Lando fight because he has to if he wants to survive.
Yeah.
Oscar's forcing him to. This isn't a Max Yuki scenario where even if I were to crash out, you're still going to be at the back of the pack because that's how far my teammate is, right? This is your 1 and 2, and you've got to fight to survive.
Yeah. What do you think is more of a challenge to McLaren at this point? Do you think it has up until arguably today, as we record this on Sunday after the race, their biggest threat has been Max?
Yeah.
Do we think their biggest threat is still Max, or do we feel like the only threat is to McLaren is their internal squabble?
I think it's internal. Absolutely internal. At this point, Max crashing out today. First off, it was like the first time he had a non-point scoring finish in 31
races.
31 races. That's insane. Second off, he is now in third place in the championship with 155 points. Lando in second place has 201. Oscar's 216. We're talking multiple races behind now. That's significant. It's not an impossible thing for him to overcome, but at this point, it's gonna be hard. And not only that, but George Russell, Mr. Please get these guys some water because they're sweating. Russell is
talk about Mr. Nice Guy. He is Mr. Nice Guy.
He's Mr. Too Much. And I kind of love him for it because he's unique in that way. He's only 9 points behind Max. So not only is Max now multiple races behind McLaren, but he's got Russell breathing down his back. And Russell's just kind of out there in third and fourth and fifth. We forget he's there. And then it's like, wait, he's fourth in the championship? Yeah. So to your point, to your question, McLaren, the only people who can beat them are themselves at this point.
Right.
And it's not just because Max crashed out. Max started in 7th.
Correct.
So we are used to him coming from 17th and winning the race, but that's not Max this year.
No.
So I think he would have had to be.
Well, that's Max. It's not the car he has.
It's not the car he has. So I think he would have had a challenge to get on the podium today.
Mm.
So when we're asking who's the biggest, threat to McLaren, it's like, well, there's nobody around. Ferrari's 20 seconds off the pace.
Yeah.
And Max is, Red Bull is somewhere else.
Yes, exactly.
And you see what kind of driver Max is when you see his teammate Yuki in last place today with that same car.
Literally.
Can we talk about Red Bull for a second?
We can talk about Red Bull, but before we do that, before we jump from McLaren, are they winning the Constructors this year?
Yes.
They're what, like 400 points ahead or something crazy like that?
They're at 417. Ferrari in second, 1 point ahead of Mercedes in third, is at 210.
Yeah. So they've got double the amount of points, basically.
Double. There's no way they lose it.
So
there's no way they lose it.
Well, there's a statistical way, and then there's the reality way of them actually losing this is so far. Do we think that either Norris or Piastri are going to be the world champion?
It's impossible to say.
It's impossible.
It's impossible to say. They're too tight right now. And they're two radically different drivers. They have radically different approaches. It is too hard to say. Like I mentioned, if Oscar had won today, he'd start seriously eking out enough of a advantage for the team to start being like, okay, do we start throwing more weight behind him? Do we start designing towards him? But Lando's right there, and he can't be denied. He was like, he put it on pole, and then he transferred that pole into a win.
Yes, 100%.
Where are your thoughts? I mean, are you leaning one way or the other?
No, I can't figure out who's going to win this. I don't know who it's going to be. To me, it honestly reminds me of like Niki Lauda and James Hunt. It's close. Lauda's from Austria, not Australia, but Hunt was from Britain. And so, but Hunt was that emotive kind of dude, and Lauda was that cool, calculated, almost systematic, like an accountant rather than an F1 driver. But just methodical, absolutely methodical. And so it came down to the season where Hunt ends up winning it because Lauda chose not to race in the rain, where Hunt chose to race in the rain. Emotion versus logic, kind of this moment. And so I don't know what we're looking at, and I think it's going to be right up until the end, until we figure it out. But it's very exciting.
Well, yeah,
I feel like we're looking at two greats right now.
We are. If they continue on this trajectory, they will be two greats.
Yeah.
And it's incredible to see like the genesis of a great.
100%.
Which is what we're witnessing right now. And we saw it with Max, who is now firmly etching his name in the greats.
Yes.
Not of all time yet. But if he keeps going, he'll get there. And we're seeing Lewis trying to firmly put that period on GOAT, and he's almost there.
Yes.
Doesn't have the car, but it's an incredible spectrum where you've got the Alonso, the Lewis towards the end of their careers, but still greats. You've got Max, who's firmly still building that legacy, and then you've got Oscar and Lando, who have the machinery and the skill set to back it up, where it's just like, this is incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Yeah. I'm so excited to see what unfolds with the rest of McLaren and the season. It really does. Today, it felt like we were watching two separate races. Like it was McLaren's race and then everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
And that, to me, is a way better version of when it was just Max out front every week.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yes. And so as much as that was an incredible like season of F1 and something for the history books for sure, it's way better to watch Lando and Oscar scrap it out lap after lap, take a break for strategy, and then come back at each other towards the end. Okay, so one thing we have to talk about.
Yes.
So Lando goes through some traffic, gets around Colapinto.
Yes.
Colapinto then has Oscar. He's getting shown the blue flags. Oscar's at this point chasing down Lando.
Yeah.
Oscar then gets cut off and run off the course by Colapinto. Call it a rookie mistake. After the race, over the radio, it came out that what Oscar said to his engineer is like basically something along the lines of, after all this time, Alpine's finally found a way to like screw me over, and used a couple other like choice language, which I just thought was the biggest deep cut like troll at 200 miles an hour. It's
That's
just absolutely
Instead
amazing.
Deadpan,
just
accountant vernacular.
Exactly.
Yes.
Oscar, he's just funny, man.
Well, there was a couple bits of traffic that were really challenging. That was one of them. But then at the very end, it's Alonso and Gabriel racing for seventh place. And then it's Lando in first.
Yes.
And Oscar behind.
They're a lap behind.
But they're all not letting him through because they're having their own race.
Yes.
And so Oscar's like, I'm trying to get to my teammate to chase him down as the last lap. It was a very interesting race within a race.
It was super interesting, especially because at that point, Alonso was on better tires than both of them. So Alonso then starts gaining on Lando, which he has every right to go and try to overtake Lando now.
Yeah.
As the race leader to unlap himself. So all of a sudden, the whole thing, classic Alonso style, has just been tossed up in the air. And I could just see him like the dude from Sonic just twisting his mustache, yes. Your kids will love that reference.
They do.
Okay, Red Bull.
Red Bull
went from dynasty to disaster over the course of 6 months. How?
So sad.
Red Bull's biggest threat is not McLaren. It's not Mercedes. It is themselves.
It's themselves.
How did this happen? How are we here?
It's the car. Ted Kravitz said it best today. And it's the first time he's really explicitly said this. Ted Kravitz said, listen, it has never been the second driver. It has always been the car.
Mm.
And he said,
interesting.
Red Bull needs to apologize to every one of those second drivers. And he literally named them all. Checo.
Ted's
and
a troll.
Danny,
I love him.
And Liam and everyone, like all these guys who were just spit out. And here's the thing that I think is like a moment where you see behind the curtain and you realize like the Wizard of Oz really isn't as spectacular as he says he is.
Yep.
We're seeing behind the curtain now and we're saying, oh, Red Bull always just chalked it up to like, hey, that's just how we roll. We're just like badass. We're like cutthroat. You can't handle the kitchen, like the heat. Get out of the like.
Right,
it was
right.
like this persona, right?
Yeah,
where it's just
100%.
Like, no, this is just who we are. Like you're too weak for us, and it's like, no. You just designed a car that's impossible for every human being on the planet to drive except Max Verstappen. So
yeah,
it's just
exactly.
Like, it's you. You were always the problem. It's like a dysfunctional relationship where the other partner is saying like, no, you're the problem. And it's like, no, you're nuts. Like it's always been you.
It's always been you.
And so that came on full display this weekend. And to your point earlier, where you said like it was McLaren and you see these two number one drivers with a number one car. And then it's Red Bull where it's, when Max leaves.
Yeah.
Because at this point, it's leaning more towards when, as opposed to if. Red Bull is a bottom feeder team. Yeah. Yuki was dead last. Now he was 16th, but 4 people DNF'd, so he was dead last. And
it was embarrassing.
The weight and the enormity of like, what the hell have we done to ourselves?
Yes,
is fully sinking in for everyone else now. And Ted Kravitz is like, he's like, listen, he's like, you all may have realized this before this point. He's like, I didn't. This is the first weekend where I'm saying it's always been the car. It was never the drivers. So those are strong words, and they're it's a terrifying realization for a team, because if Max leaves, which is no indication that he would stay, he was asked point blank this weekend about if he would stay with Red Bull. And this was also Ted speaking with his colleagues about this. And Max won't answer the question.
No.
And he'll come off like upset about it. He's like, I've already talked about this.
Right.
But that in and of itself is an answer. That in and of itself is an answer. So, yeah, I mean, Red Bull.
Rejecting the premise of the question is as much of an answer than answering the question directly.
Yes.
Okay, so another Red Bull rumor is that rumor mill that Horner is dancing around the idea of becoming the Alpine team principal for a percentage of ownership, which we know is something that he's always wanted.
Yes.
Across the whole period of being at Red Bull. And so would he really bail for Alpine, or has the Red Bull ship already sunk?
It's a great question.
Like, are they Titanic violinists playing as the ship goes down?
I mean, if it's on like a scale of like 1 being McLaren to like Alpine being the Titanic already in the bottom of the ocean, Red Bull is like they're like scraping the iceberg.
You have no love for Alpine.
Alpine's the freaking worst. I hate them so much. They're dysfunctional, and they're a dysfunctional organization. They should be exited from F1. No, Red Bull right now is scraping the iceberg and just ripping a hole through the hole.
Yeah.
That's where they're at. So it's just like, but here's the thing though. I understand the allure. I don't understand this personally.
Mm-hmm.
I could understand the allure of ownership, but it's freaking Alpine. They're dysfunctional as heck.
Yeah.
Like, why would you go there? Like,
but you're talking about a guy who bought Jaguar F1 team and turned it into what we now know as Red Bull.
Yes.
Can he do it again?
And maybe that's the challenge someone like a Horner needs in their life to say, hey, I've already won 8 with this team.
Yeah.
I'm kind of, well, I mean, what's your thoughts there? Do you think it's worth it?
The hard thing for me is that when Red Bull came into it, when Horner came into it, the sport needed a revolution. It needed an injection of life into it. And he brought that.
He did.
I don't know if the sport is in a place where it needs an injection of life or a revolution. It's more popular than it has been. It's more funded than it has ever been. And there's more eyes on it than there has ever been.
Yes.
And so I don't know what he's going to bring to Alpine other than systems and leadership, which is huge.
It is.
But at the same time,
and they could use it.
They chew through flipping team principles like cheap gum.
He'd have to. You'd have to have some kind of provision. So I'll draw an example here. The reason I hate Alpine so much is because they remind me of the Browns. And we hate the thing that is most like us. So Alpine is just a F1.
Alpine is the Browns.
They're the Cleveland Browns. And the Cleveland Browns, what they would do, this is my entire upbringing. Well, first off, they left Cleveland to Baltimore. And when I was a wee child, maybe before I was born.
You're still in therapy because of that.
I know, still. But then when they came back, they had every year, they had a new coach and a new quarterback. So
ground zero every year.
It was ground zero every year. So my entire childhood, I think I saw probably 20 coaches and quarterback pairings for the Browns during my childhood. That's insane. No team can ever survive that. So anyway, when the most recent coach came in, and I haven't followed him in a minute, so I don't remember his name, which says what kind of fan I am now. He got guarantees for a 5-year contract.
Incredible.
Whereas, like, I will only come if I am guaranteed 5 years. If you are going to do this whole crazy, you're out. So if Horner said to Alpine, hey,
I want ownership and I want a 5-year contract
and a 5-year
being principal,
then okay.
Yeah.
Like it's a new challenge. Maybe he can turn it around. Maybe it's the kind of thing that he needs.
Well, and they are, and think about that for a second. He might be able to do it. They're not going to have their own power unit.
Maybe.
Horner still has sway in the paddock. He's going to bring talent wherever he goes.
Yeah.
It could be a cool move for him to do, especially since the rumors are at Red Bull is that it's still tense. It's still something that they don't necessarily like. Horner's not on everyone's Christmas list at Red Bull.
Yeah.
And so there's a few hanging chads in old Horn Dog's office.
Do you think their rumors are founded about him potentially going to Ferrari?
I don't know, man. That's a really big swing.
Ferrari right now, I feel like it's too much of a rumor mill.
Yeah.
But that's really also out there.
Yeah.
And that's legitimized by not just like the Italian press. It's like other folks who are saying that he's linked to that position potentially as well.
Yeah, I think I don't believe that it is very far along. I do believe that there would have been a conversation. Because just like Toto has said, like we want the best.
Yep.
Horner is one of the best team principals.
He is.
8 world championships is nothing to snuff at.
Yeah.
The most dominant phase
in F1 history.
In nothing to snuff at.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't Ferrari have a conversation with him?
Yeah.
Do I think that he's going to move him and Ginger Spice and their entire family to Italy? Probably not.
I mean, why wouldn't you? Italy's great.
I would, 100%.
I would totally.
But I just don't know It feels like it would be an aggressive move, and there's too much steam right now at Ferrari for me to believe that is permanent.
Yeah.
We should talk about Ferrari, though.
We should.
Because they brought a ton of upgrades. They were the second fastest car pairing on the field.
They were?
Followed by Mercedes, who, although George finished in 5th, was a long way off. A long way off. Hamilton could have pitted again.
Yeah, George was
still
a full 30-plus seconds behind Lewis.
Yes, so although it was a great race up front, it seemed like teams were racing themselves this week.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was a great weekend for Lewis. I thought qualified right behind, Chuck.
Yeah.
Chuck was second. I think Lewis qualified 4th, finished 4th. And I think he had a solid weekend. Again, the one piece that irritated me with Ferrari is this team orders. They tell him, hey, we want you to come in, pit, get tires. And he says, I feel really good on these tires. Can we extend? And they said, this is what bugged me. For the fastest race time, we need you to pit and come in now. And I'm looking at the gap to Russell going, who? And the gap to Leclerc, I was like, he has nothing to lose right now.
Yeah.
Who cares how fast you get through the race? It's where you end. What if a safety car comes out later and he's already on the new tires? Now he can't pit and pip his teammate. Remember that you are one team, 2 drivers, and both those drivers have ambition. There was no reason. There was no that I could even possibly think of. The car didn't have damage.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to lose out a position.
No.
And he wasn't going to gain a position by pitting. So why not let him wring out the tires for an extra few laps and see if he was right?
Yeah. No, the race orders were confusing, and it feels that there's still, tension might be too strong of a word. It comes across that way, maybe because
there's crazy tension between Lewis.
Lewis,
frustrated.
Well, but Lewis though, tries to downplay it some weeks where he's just no, everyone's got the kind of relationship with their engineer, but it does feel consistent.
I would hate to be his race engineer.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mainly because I have no idea what that job actually is. And then the other thing is because the way that he talks to his race engineer, it's intense. You can tell that they're not on the same page.
No, and that's where there appears to be continuity of tension. Week after week, there seems to be a disconnect between what the engineer is communicating and what Lewis is wanting to do.
Yes.
Whereas when you listen to McLaren,
yes,
they're like, hey, what about this? They're like, yep, sounds good. Or I
love it. I mean, they work so well together.
Now, again,
even Max and his guy.
And there's moments too.
Yep.
There's moments when Max's will go at him, but by and large, there's some consensus there. There's relationship, there's rapport, all that stuff. It seems like Lewis, I don't know if it's just that he's new.
Yeah.
Or if it's that he needs a different engineer, or if he needs something different. So I actually I know you said it was a good weekend. On paper, yes. If I'm Ferrari, I should feel good this weekend because our team gets 3rd and 4th. We pass Mercedes for 2nd in the championship. Now it's by a point, so it'll be back and forth just like it's back and forth between Oscar and Lando. It's going to be back and forth for 2nd between Ferrari and Mercedes this entire season.
Yeah,
they're just going to keep swapping until the end. But I didn't feel like this was a weekend Ferrari could hang their hat on and say, "Yeah, we're good." It didn't feel that way.
I don't think they're saying
too
good.
far off the pace.
I think they are saying we finally took a step forward. We bolted something on the car that actually works. I think they can actually go somewhere from here. They found their North Star, Ben. They found their version of the North Star. They should tell Mercedes where it is.
If Mercedes got a star for every time they said that, they'd have a constellation 100%. Of North Stars.
They'd own the Milky Way.
They'd own
It'd be incredible. Yeah, I think they found a direction in which now they can build this car. And matter of fact, that was the thing that Lewis was saying this weekend is that the car finally felt good. Like the car fundamentally felt more balanced. And they finished third and fourth, which in Austria, you need a balanced car to be able to race that track. It's super short.
Yeah.
And you're constantly throwing from one direction to the other. If the car's not balanced and you get out of a rhythm, you're done. Like you're cooked.
Yeah.
And they did so well. Mercedes. Great race for them the previous weekend.
Yeah, fantastic.
Great race for them. They come into this weekend. It's hot.
Mercedes, historically, their car doesn't like the heat.
It's 31 degrees Celsius.
I don't even know what that is Fahrenheit.
No idea either. That's warm.
Probably hot.
Probably
80s, something like that. Yeah.
Hey, Siri. And I think, obviously Antonelli has to crash with Max. Not what he wanted to do. Full rookie mistake.
Yeah, I mean.
Owned it. Wore his helmet all the way back to the paddock, all the way through.
Yeah.
All the way into the garage. Felt bad for him. And I think for me, Mercedes had an all right weekend. I'm hoping that it's cold at Silverstone next week so that we can come out swinging because Mercedes. But at the same time, if Ferrari improves, Hamilton at Silverstone is something to behold.
Well, this is the tension that Mercedes has, is they have the ability to finish second, but they're going to have to fight with Ferrari the rest of the season to do it.
Yeah.
Because they are essentially equal to me, which I'm sure, Lewis isn't crazy about the fact that he went to Ferrari and they're barely ahead of Mercedes with a rookie taking his place. If you think about it, as constructors.
That's wild.
But that's where they're at. So Mercedes needs a good result.
Yeah.
I don't know what the result would have been if Kimi hadn't have crashed into Max. He was coming from
he was pretty far
ninth
back.
place. So he was already going to have to kind of weave his way through, and Ferrari did look strong. Obviously McLaren was at the front. The chances of them getting any higher than Russ was pretty low. And Russ didn't finish super well. He was 62 seconds off.
Yeah, he was far behind.
So it's yes, you're in fifth, but it's a distant fifth. So
100%.
If I'm Mercedes, it feels like I've got to find pace when the weather's warm.
Yes.
This is F1. A big part of the season takes place during the summer and the fall when we've got warm weather. So how is it that they're like, oh my God, our car only works in the
or the
cool.
Middle East.
Wait, what? We're not racing in the winter. What the hell?
Yes.
Make a car that works when it's hot out.
Yeah. So how many years are we going to know? Mercedes loves the cold.
It's dude, you can't keep saying that.
Yes,
you gotta
100%.
You gotta
so
fix
funny.
this car. So I think that's the part of it where I'm like, okay, deal with it. It's a hot sport.
Yes.
These tracks are hot. These cars are hot. The weather is hot. Make a way to make it work. So I don't really have a whole lot more to say. I mean, Kimi, again, he owned it up with his crash. It was a rookie mistake. It was a bummer because you realize he kind of robbed the entire world of a great race with Max coming through the pack, and that we're just not going to see that now. And then Russ was the silent. I finished in
He's
fifth
just happy
place.
to be there. He has been this whole kind of year, with the exception of his win. I think he was just happy to be there.
Yeah.
Man, okay, we got to talk about Aston Martin, dude. Because there are not just rumors around Aston Martin, but they are officially 2 points ahead of Kick Sauber.
We cannot talk about Aston without in the same breath talking about Kick, because they're two radically different teams.
One is woefully underfunded. The other one is exuberantly overfunded. They're
both green, but Hulk green and James Bond green.
Correct.
So
which one would you want?
I want James Bond green.
Of course, same.
But it's the younger sibling that's kind of outshining the older one, and the older one's pissed off about it.
Yes.
So to Aston Martin, real quick, Alonso has finally started scoring points.
Yeah, they're equal points now, 14 and 14.
And Alonso only needed 3 races to get equal with his teammate. And his teammate only needed 3 races to not do anything with his life. So Alonso and his teammate Stroll, they're equal on points. Yay, Alonso. He had like a 9th, a 7th, and a 7th place finish, which is great. But, and this was, we talked about it earlier when Alonso and Gabriel are fighting and the last lap. Gabriel is managed by Alonso.
Yes.
And it was this perfect moment, this snapshot of this greater narrative of Aston and Kick. Is you've got Alonso who manages Gabriel, who's in Kick, but Kick now is coming for Aston.
Correct.
And it was this moment at the end of the race where you see Kick about to pass Alonso.
Correct.
And you're like, wait,
what's happening? What's going to happen here?
So it's this perfect.
Well, Gabriel Bortoleto also like took that car and out qualified Hülkenberg for the 5th time this season, which is not something that I ever thought I'd be saying right now.
And Hulk's always been the guy that's out qualified his teammates.
Bro, Mr. Saturday.
Just and Hulk is still performing well. I mean, Hulk right now is in 10th place in the drivers.
It's amazing.
With 22 points, and he's only 1 point behind Ocon. So, nice little call there.
Nice little call. Sorry, Kirsten, denied.
No.
Denying my wife's calls.
When my wife calls me and I don't answer because I'm in a meeting, she's like, "I am your wife. You answer on the first ring." And I'm like, I'm in a meeting. I'm sorry. Sorry on behalf of James and all the other husbands out there who say sorry. But no. So Hulk right now is coming out swinging. They've been getting incredible results the last several races. Hulk, again, in 10th place. It would be a stretch for him to make it up to 8th because 8th is like 20 points ahead of him.
Yeah, it's pretty high.
But it's not out of the equation.
Not at all.
So he's fighting for 9th and potentially, can shoot even as high as 8th, which for Kick, a phenomenal finish.
Yes.
With Audi coming in next year, like this is the kind of momentum this team needs.
You and I had we gone into a time machine today and gone back to the start of this year and told our respective selves that Kick was going to be as good as they are now, our January, James and Ben would have laughed us in out of this garage.
Yes.
They would have, and probably beat us up for being such idiots.
Yes.
And now I'm looking at this going, dude, they're 2 points behind Aston.
Dude. And it all came in the last 3 races. Literally, Hulk had a 7th place finish in Australia purely on luck. And then the pair of them failed to score all the way through Monaco.
Right.
So it was the last few races.
They upgraded the car. And boom, performance.
And
incredible.
And points, places.
Yes.
The last several races.
And kudos to Bortoleto for going absolutely bonkers in qualifying.
Yeah.
And then trying to overtake Fernando Alonso.
I mean,
in the closing laps.
The cojones you need to go after your boss like that.
I love it.
And I'm like,
I love it.
This guy, I had some mad respect. And I love it too that they're like, wait, the McLarens are racing around us right now. We don't care. We've got our own race. Like, screw you guys. And I was like, Oscar's back there like, can I get past? And they're like, we're racing here, bro. Like, it's
called racing, Toto.
It was great.
I thought to myself, I was like, man, maybe Ben will finally remember his name after this week.
I like it. That's why I'm calling Gabrielle. I'm like, not even going to try. I'm going to butcher it so bad. I'm going to come up with a nickname for him. He needs a nickname. I don't have one yet, but I will get a nickname for him.
We'll come back. We'll circle back on the nickname.
Well, but to this juxtaposition between Aston and Kick. So Aston is like Red Bull in a way that you have one number one driver.
Correct.
And then you've got another dude who, again, is just there because he's there.
Right.
And
just happy
Alonso just turned on the gas the last 3 races and has already caught up and is going to far surpass his teammate. So you've got this problem now where Aston is a 1 driver team, whereas Kick is a 2 driver team. They've got two drivers with now a decent car.
It's a 2025 narrative, dude.
Both scoring points. And I think you're going to see teams have a hard look in the mirror, and I'm thinking specifically Red Bull and Aston at this point, and saying, hey, we can't afford to have one good driver or to have a car that only one driver can drive.
Yeah.
Because our competition is hunting us.
Yes.
Because they have designed a car that's more democratic, that allows both drivers to drive it well, and they have two drivers who can score points.
Right.
And so,
well, and that's the thing, right? Like Aston Martin isn't a team; it's a father-son vanity project.
So well said. So well said.
The Kick brought Wheatley in from Red Bull because they want to be a team. So they have an established driver, and they have the previous F2 champion.
They do.
Pretty good freaking driver pairing right there.
They do.
And it's now showing that when they give both those drivers a car, both those drivers don't punch a wall after not getting into Q2 and shatter their team's ability to even perform on the weekend.
Yeah.
They just get on with it. They do their job and they do what they need to.
Yeah.
There's no Nepo energy in the Kick garage.
Dude, Kick, I when I heard Hulk was going, I was like, dude, why? Why? Stay with Haas. There's energy there. But now, and again, this is why we love F1, because teams can turn it around within a season.
Yes.
And that's what Kick is doing.
We're seeing that.
We're seeing that where it's like this team is up and coming. And again, here's the thing about Hulk that I love. Hulk still has something to prove in this sport to himself, to his fans, and to the sport itself. He hasn't had a podium yet.
Yeah.
And this guy can score points.
That's crazy.
And this guy can race well. And this guy can jump in any car and just drive it. He's been an incredible.
I think he has most race starts in Formula One history without a podium. Like not the not the record you want to hold.
But there is a fire this guy has, and just a genuine love for the sport. Yeah. And this dude, like,
and he's born in the 80s, so you relate to him.
I mean,
he's a child of the 80s, man.
This guy with that hair is like, oh, he's like the Russian.
He's a little more hair than you, but he looks good. Looks good.
He's like the Russian from Rocky, dude. He's just like this guy. But I'm telling you, like, and then you've got Gabrielle, the F2 champion. Like, it's a great pairing. Two guys, something to prove.
You got Benito overseeing the whole project. You got Wheatley there as the team principal. It really does feel like they're set up for success moving into 2026.
They are building on a great foundation.
100%. I would say they're probably the surprise of the season to me.
Yes.
From a team perspective.
Yes.
The driver surprise to me has been Hadjar. He didn't have a great week.
Yeah.
The biggest surprise to me this weekend was that Lawson out-qualified Max Verstappen.
This was vindication for Lawson.
100%.
Because people are finally saying, wait a second.
Like Ted.
And Ted named Lawson. And he was like, they should apologize to him.
Yeah.
They gave him 2 races. Ted said they gave him 2 races, and it wasn't him. It was the freaking car.
Yeah.
And you think about it. Who would you rather be right now? Yuki or Liam?
Liam, 100%.
Liam, because Liam's like, I got a car. Literally, Ted was like, hey, do you think Red Bull could just copy the Racing Bull's car and make it a bespoke car?
They would never do that. They're 2 separate teams. They rarely talk.
Ted literally was just like, dude, they could just make a bespoke car that just copies it, and they could just give that to Max and Yuki, and it would be better than what they have now.
Correct.
So, yeah, I mean, like, Yuki
Max is like, can you demote me, guys?
Dude.
Can I have Hadjar's seat?
Liam.
They have Red Bull has 2 teams, 4 cars, and they're absolutely nowhere. It's incredible. Okay, let's talk Williams, because James Vowles just renewed his contract as team principal.
Good for him.
They're keeping him. He has proved himself, not just to the board, I would say to all of F1.
Yes.
His strategy is working. I think that's another probably testament to what you're saying. Like, put these drivers and these principles on longer term contracts to be able to prove themselves, so they don't fall into the trap of Alpine and Red Bull drivers
and the Cleveland Browns.
Exactly. But it's been a tough few races for Williams,
dude. So I was thinking about this as we are talking about Kick just a minute ago. Kick had a bummer start to the season.
Yep.
Brought a change, turned it around.
Yeah.
Williams had a phenomenal start to the season. Gangbusters. They had 54 points through 8 races. Incredible results. And over the last 3 races, they have had 1 point.
Yeah. And Albon's been angry. I've never seen this side of Albon. Like he has been
really angry.
Like really angry, visibly and audibly furious.
Sounds like he's almost
frustrated.
Crying. I'm like, are you okay?
But like also like he could punch a wall. Like he'd go Lance Stroll on like the paddock. And why do we feel like all of a sudden we're seeing this side of Alex?
Well, because Sainz is there.
Okay.
So here's the thing. When you have two, and I'll use this phrase of Williams, they have 2 number 1 drivers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, the points wouldn't reflect that, but we know what Sainz is capable of.
Yeah.
The man can get a organ removed from him, come back and win a race. Like the man is a number 1 driver, right? And Albon's a number 1 driver. So like Albon hasn't had
pressure,
that kind of pressure since he was at Red Bull.
Outperformed
Sainz. I know, but Sainz is just coming from Ferrari. Sainz is a solid driver. He's strategic.
Better.
He's thoughtful. Even when he was at Ferrari, he was making strategy calls where he's giving strategy where you're like, wait, that's actually really good. Like, he's operating at a very high level. So that naturally pushes whoever the teammate is. And Albon had it easy. I mean, literally, they were giving him Logan Sargent's car when he binned his into the wall.
100%.
Yeah, that's
and
not going to happen
Pinto
now.
came along and binned a bunch of the cars into the wall again.
Albon doesn't have the luxury anymore. He's got to perform, and he's performing, and he's outperforming Sainz at this point. But here's the thing, though. I think there's just more pressure. And so that's where I would say it's at. And again, Sainz, he's in 14th place. With 13 points. Albon has 42 points. He's way further ahead.
He's way further ahead.
But I don't think that the points reflect the man.
The Sainz comparison is interesting to me. I think that's probably a part of it.
Do you think there's other factors involved in why Albon's responding?
I wonder if Albon is going, guys, I don't know how much more time I have in F1 left.
Interesting. Same
like Albon is a really good racing car driver.
He is.
He is driven for multiple teams and a very large team being Red Bull.
Yeah.
He had to step away when he got cut from Red Bull. And he comes back and he was put next to people who were nowhere near as good as him.
Yeah.
So there was this allure and this almost like gold dust on Albon. And now Sainz is there.
Yep.
I think he's also wondering, like, dude, 6 rookies and they're crushing.
I mean, besides Kimi knocking Max out, yes, they are crushing.
But even Kimi, his season, aside from Max, it's way better than any rookies we've seen. Aside from Oscar.
Kimi's ahead of Alex in the standings.
Yeah. Like, what are the rookies we've had in the past? Like, we're talking about Logans. No established driver is getting nervous when a Logan Sargent comes into the field.
No.
Even Colapinto was good, but he crashed a bunch.
Yeah.
Like, I think Albon is going, I'm heading towards the tail of my career. I need the car to work every time I get in it. I need the car to get better every time I get in it. I don't have time to be dealing with the things that I talked to you about last week that haven't been fixed this week. Because that's where his frustration came in. Guys, this is the same thing we're dealing with.
Yeah, no, that's a really, really good point. And I think that has to be the underlying pressure all these guys are on, is they have shelf life and a whole slew of new rookies coming in never makes anyone feel good.
No.
Because you're like, oh, shoot, These guys are coming in and they're performing right away.
100%.
And then you look at an Oscar who's only been in a couple years, who's leading the championship.
Yeah, he's fighting for the world championship this year.
So it's like, if I've been in 6, 7 years, 8 years, I'm like, oh, shoot.
Well, and no one's talking about Albon like they do with Chuck or Norris. And that's his crew.
It is.
That's his era.
It is.
That's his talent pool.
Yeah.
And so, to me, I'm like, I think he's looking at the door closing ahead of him. And he's going, I need this to be perfect. I think that's where we're seeing this other side of Albon come out.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's a really good point. I mean, and what I'm nervous about with Williams is that they may have peaked too early. And again, anything's possible. It might just be a blip.
Right. Maybe
but 3 races in a row, now we're seeing a pattern.
Yeah.
It's not just a 1 race off where there was like someone crashing a DNF. It's like we have 3 races in a row. Albon's DNF'd, I think, twice in the last 3 races.
Right.
They've had 1 point in the last 3 races.
Yeah, I mean,
Sainz had an abysmal finish in Spain.
The cars were both retired.
Yeah,
this race. I mean, Carlos's car was literally on fire.
Literally,
the back brakes were locked.
My tagline is that Williams is on fire, literally and metaphorically. Like it's
yeah.
Now again,
I want them to recover because I am a big Williams fan,
and they're doing well. And as a constructor, they are in 5th place.
Yeah,
but Racing Bulls isn't that far behind.
No, not that far at all, and more consistent.
More like so, their fight is with Racing Bulls. Primarily, and so they've been getting more consistent. We saw Liam with a great points haul today. We saw Isaac in the past, who's just been scoring really consistently.
Yeah,
Williams can't have these 3 race stints where they don't score any points.
No,
they will drop to 6th.
They need to be getting the 1s, the 2s, the 3 points. They absolutely need it.
They have to
absolutely need it.
Yeah. So Williams, tricky, as my son would say.
Yeah, very tricky. My computer died, so I can't go on to the next subject, so I need you to go on to...
Well, I mean, we've talked McLaren, we've talked Ferrari, we've talked Red Bull, we've talked Williams, we've talked Aston, we've talked...
But we didn't talk about the rumors around Aston and who their driver might be next year.
So, this involves multiple teams.
There's two drivers.
And multiple drivers.
And 2 teams. They're both related, and both the rumors are
well-founded.
Well-founded, yeah. I was trying to look for the word, but that's a great way to describe it. They're well-founded. Okay, so the first rumor is that Max Verstappen has been offered a $470 million 3-year contract to go for $470 million. 400. It's like, what?
Why?
That's so much money to go to Aston Martin. They want him. They're like, we got Newey, we got Alonso.
It's attractive.
Come on over. And that's the first rumor. And the second rumor is that Max is also in talks with Mercedes, and this one has been founded.
Yes.
Toto has admitted that they are talking to Max's team.
Russell has admitted they're talking.
Russell has admitted that. And everyone says, of course they are. Why wouldn't they be? And based off of how this whole season's going, Max is in a place where he could probably pull his performance clauses within his contract to legally remove himself from Red Bull without any of the repercussions. And knowing Max, if they'd be like, hey, you got to give me 40 mil, he'd be like, fine, I'll give you 40 mil. I don't care.
Yeah,
or he just won't pay it and he'll just leave.
Build it into the next contract.
Take me to court. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
So that's the rumor there, which then goes, Max would take Russell's seat, but Russell is also rumored to go to Aston Martin and take Stroll's seat, and Stroll would officially be OUT
all of
Formula
our dreams coming true.
The internet has won.
If
that happens.
I mean, we said it. We've been saying it.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's been saying it.
Everyone's been saying it, but we've been very loud. What do you think is the most plausible outcome? Is it Max to Mercedes or Max to Aston? Is it Russell to Aston? Is there a clear number one in this moment?
Yeah, I mean, if in my opinion, I think Mercedes is the safer bet.
I would agree.
And so I think
Mercedes is stability.
They are stability.
With leadership. Now,
Exactly.
the car's been up and down.
Yes.
But the leadership.
New season, new regs, new engine. Mercedes is the safer bet to go to. They've got the money. There's no issue when it comes to money. And then I think the allure of Aston Martin is the potential that they sell. And they've been peddling that potential.
They've been peddling it
years where people are starting to go, maybe money can't fix all our problems. Radical thought.
Yeah.
But there's always a new thing. Yes, but we got this person. And this person happens to be the most successful car designer in the history of Formula One ever.
Which
Adrian
should
Newey.
count for something.
It counts as something.
That's
they
huge.
have Fernando, but only for really 1 or 2 more seasons. And then, they've got money. But I'm like, I don't know if Max is looking at Aston going, yeah, I'll do that. I do like the Honda engine. Or if he's going, no, I'm going to go to Mercedes.
It's hard because
I bet he's not going up at night going, can't wait for 2026 with Red Bull. Bet he's not doing that.
There it is. He's not. There's no way he's doing that.
That was every night last year. That was last year when they were like, oh, there's talks of rumors. He's like, why would I go anywhere? This year, I've already talked about this. I don't want to answer this question. Why? Because he does want to go somewhere.
Yeah, he does.
He wants out of Dodge, dude.
Dude, Red Bull. I think Red Bull's dead to him. But Max is a classy guy in his own way, where he's not gonna. He can be very political,
for sure,
and he's had to navigate a lot of politics at Red Bull, and so, dude, it's a hard choice because Mercedes has something to prove again.
Mm-hmm.
They have not been dominant the last several years. They need to prove themselves worthy again.
Right.
Aston is dying for validation.
Right.
To validate all the investment, all of the money. Like, to this point, they have nothing to show for it.
No.
And so
a lot of bills.
Both really hungry teams. One's looking for a comeback. One's looking for the first time to have that championship. And so it's really a question of, like, who does Max want to work with?
Right.
Who does he trust? Does he trust Toto's leadership, Toto's experience? Is he compelled by the chance to get to race with an Alonso and drive a car designed by Newey and Honda?
Again,
I mean, there's
a lot.
Have pros.
Yes, 100%.
So, I mean, and the money.
If you had to put money on it, which one do you think you'll go to?
I would lean towards Aston, actually.
Okay, why?
Adrian.
Okay.
Like, when you pay the most successful car designer of all time and give him everything he needs, it's a pretty high percentage that he's going to design a good car.
Yeah.
And Max has already shown that he can drive a car that's impossible to drive into victory.
Yeah.
So, like,
that's the exact reason why I think he'll go to Mercedes. Because I think he'll go to Mercedes and go, they're going to give me a good enough car where I'll just wrestle that thing into first place.
They don't have an Adrian, though.
They don't, but they have consistency.
I mean, Mercedes, they're...
2026 is literally like, it's like playing flipping craps. It's a crapshoot. And I think the sure thing is to go with Mercedes. Short-term contract. Bounce around. It's Max Verstappen. Who's not going to take him?
I mean, the only options he has are Aston.
If he did a 2-year contract with Mercedes or a 1 year with an option to renew, and then Aston Martin comes out of the gate and they've got a cranking car, you think that he goes back to them and says, all right, I'll come drive your car now? They wouldn't take him?
I mean, yeah, anyone will take Max. He's what everyone wants.
He's the trump card, bro.
Must be nice.
Must be nice. Okay. Cadillac comes in next year.
They do. There's rumors there as well.
Rumors, well, not rumors. It's pretty confirmed that they're in high-level talks with Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez.
Yeah. Going the veteran route, potentially.
The vet route. What they're playing around with right now is whether or not they want to go completely vet drivers or if they want to go one vet, one newer driver and see how that goes.
Yeah.
Or pick one of those two and then see how they interact with another driver. Valtteri posted a weird kind of very Valtteri-esque video on social media of him in an Escalade rubbing the front seat of it going, oh, I like this seat. It's just like really short, kind of creepy stalker video, which really made me chuckle. So I don't know if that's like too much to read into.
But maybe he absolutely wants to read into that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so on the nose.
I'm like, I don't know if this is like too on the nose. Like, are we going to see an announcement come out soon? I'm not sure.
Everyone in F1's been talking about it.
They're having meetings with these people at Silverstone in the coming week. So
I think who would you pick between a Bottas and a
Valtteri.
Checo?
Valtteri. I would go Valtteri and a new up-and-coming star. I'd go Valtteri and a risk.
You know, I actually might pick Checo.
That's awesome.
Checo brings an enormous fan base.
He does bring an enormous fan base.
Massive amount
and
of
an enormous
sponsors.
North American fan base, which is big for Cadillac.
Enormous amount of sponsors, enormous fan base.
Yes.
And Valtteri, I love Valtteri.
So you do it for the money. That makes sense. But
if you're
that
Cadillac
you.
and if you're bringing it in, brand new team, obviously you're trying to you want a driver that can rally a large fan base immediately.
That's true. That's a very good point.
So,
which is why they're also talking to Danny Ricciardo.
Oh,
but do we want Danny back on the grid? do we love Danny? Love him to pieces. Does Danny want back on the grid?
I don't know, dude.
I don't think if I were him and I came back and it was the same story for the third time in a row, I don't think I'd recover from that.
It'd be pretty demoralizing.
That'd be exactly.
But if he could,
because right now it's the story of what if, and then it'll go to the story of it wasn't going to happen.
But if he could drink from the shoe once again,
if he could drink, if Danny Rick could come back in a team that's American based.
Oh. Netflix is already
in 2026. Brand new 11th team on the grid, American based,
dude.
Cadillac.
They're lobbying
and get on the podium.
For this.
That would be wild. That would be
dude,
wild.
I'm telling you,
that would be absolutely wild.
Anything's possible.
All right, Silverstone's coming up. What are your thoughts around Silverstone?
Well, it's going to be McLaren on the top two steps. Who is McLaren is going to flip a coin. We're letting them race. Is them just saying heads or tails? I don't know. One of you is gonna take it. The question is who's the third step? I would say Hamilton.
Wow.
Here's why.
Wow.
It's his home.
I don't know where I am right now.
It's his home.
It is his home.
I think he's gonna pull all the stops out. Max and Red Bull are struggling, and it's really between him and Chuck now.
Man.
And it's between who can qualify better.
That's true.
And I think Hammy is going to do everything he can.
We're finally Mercedes is
just going to pray to the weather gods for cooler weather. But that in and of itself is not guaranteed.
And not something I do.
So
yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so you think McLaren. Man, I think
McLaren. And of course it's going to be McLaren.
Yeah. I freaking love Silverstone.
It's a great race.
It's my second favorite racetrack.
It's like the UK saying to America, we're going to have our race on your 4th of July. We don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much for that. It's actually awesome because I have a lot of time off. So it's actually perfect. It's going to be a wild race. I think what I love about Silverstone so much is that there's just so much history, but there's also so much great racing.
It's a great
and you
track.
can have both Formula One. You can have history and you can have great racing. Austria, great European track.
Yeah.
That action that we saw between Piastri and Norris and all throughout the whole field, great racing. That's what I want from historic tracks.
It's possible for European tracks to have great racing.
Yes. Silverstone, we're going to see great racing there. We've seen incredible racing in there in the past.
Question: does Williams turn their skid around at a home race for them as well?
It's a very home race for them.
I mean, everyone practically.
Yeah.
McLaren, Mercedes, Williams.
Yeah. I think Williams will do good. It's high speed. They seem to be doing really well in the high speed this season. And so I think they'll do good. I'm more curious to see where the Raging Bulls, the Racing Bulls end up landing. Because I think they'll be the one team that kind of throws a wrench in Williams weekend.
Yes, and Kick is still ascending.
Yeah.
Here's a crazy.
If Kick gets better, that would be wild. If Kick gets better at Silverstone, that would be crazy. That would literally be wild.
We have traditional bottom feeder teams that are taking points off of the top teams.
100%.
Like we saw Mercedes and Red Bull impacted this week.
Yes.
And we saw Kick and we saw Racing Bulls just slot up in there.
Yeah.
And that's where we want to be, where we see teams that no one ever thought deserved a top 10 finish, robbing some of those top teams that assumed they'd always have it, you know?
Yeah. Williams needs Silverstone to be a good weekend for them. They need it. They can't, well, they definitely can't do a repeat of a double DNF, but I think if their drivers are there, if they can get the car dialed, then I think they'll have a good weekend.
Yeah. Likewise, Aston needs to have a good weekend.
Yes. Desperately.
Otherwise, they're going to have Kick past them at Silverstone.
Yeah.
In the points.
Yes.
So, yeah.
It'll be a miracle. It's going to be fun, and we will debrief it all.
Absolutely.